Ever feel like you're missing like a secret weapon in your communication toolkit? Well, today we're diving deep into like a powerful tool you already possess.
Yeah.
The ability to ask questions.
It's true.
We're going to unlock the surprising ways they can make you more likable, persuasive, and yes, even help you unearth hidden information.
Most of us underestimate the impact of strategic questioning in our daily interactions.
Yeah.
Think of this deep dive as your masterclass in wielding that power.
Okay.
Drawing insights from Harvard Business School professors, Alison Wood Brooks and Leslie John experts who've literally made a science out of asking questions.
We'll be using their HBR IdeaCast episode as our guide, and trust me, you're going to want to take notes.
Yeah.
We're going beyond the obvious,
Right.
uncovering counterintuitive strategies like presuppositional questions,
Yeah.
the magic of follow-ups, and even go to handle those curveball questions that leave you speechless.
Let's start by acknowledging a simple truth.
Okay.
People don't ask enough questions. And that's a real shame because they're missing out on some serious advantages.
Okay, so spill the tea. What am I missing out on by not peppering people with questions?
Well, for starters, information exchange.
Okay.
Every question is a chance to peek into someone's mind, to gain a perspective you wouldn't have otherwise.
Okay.
Think of it as a shortcut to understanding someone's motivations, fears, and aspirations.
It's like a cheat code for getting to know someone faster and on a deeper level.
Right.
I'm already intrigued.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
But here's the thing that really surprised me.
Yeah.
Research shows that asking questions consistently makes you more likable.
Really?
Yeah. It signals genuine interest,
Oh.
a quality people find incredibly
So
attractive.
it's not about being nosy.
Right.
It's about showing that you genuinely care about what the other person has to say.
Exactly.
I can see how that would build rapport quickly.
And this leads to another powerful benefit persuasion.
Okay.
You might think that strong arguments are the key to winning someone over. But in reality, understanding their needs through strategic questions is far more effective.
That's fascinating. It's like the classic sales advice: focus on understanding the customer's pain points rather than just listing features.
Right.
So instead of barging in with a pre-prepared pitch, you're engaging in a more collaborative process.
Precisely.
Okay.
By asking questions, you can tailor your message to resonate with the other person's specific needs and concerns.
Gotcha.
But the real kicker is that most people underestimate these benefits,
Yeah.
sometimes even worrying about being annoying.
I'm definitely guilty of overthinking it sometimes.
Sure.
But if research suggests people actually appreciate thoughtful questions, that takes a lot of pressure off.
It does.
Yeah.
And it opens up a world of possibilities, especially in situations where information is key, even when there's a bit of tension.
Okay, that's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about those trickier scenarios, like a negotiation where someone might be tempted to be less than truthful.
Right.
What kind of questions can help us get to the truth?
This is where presuppositional questions come into play.
Okay.
It's a technique where you frame your question to presuppose the information you're seeking, even if it's something the other party might be reluctant to reveal directly.
So instead of asking, is this project going to be delayed?
You might ask, by how much do you anticipate the project will be delayed?
Okay.
Notice how the question assumes a delay is already a given. This subtle shift makes it psychologically easier for the other party to be more forthcoming, even if the news isn't ideal.
That's brilliant. You're not accusing them of anything.
Right.
But you're also not giving them an easy out by framing the question as a simple yes or no.
Exactly.
Instead, you're gently nudging them towards a more honest and informative response.
And the research shows this really works.
Oh, wow.
Brooks and John give a great example in the HBR episode about a supplier who might be late with a delivery.
Okay.
Instead of asking, you'll be on time, right?
Yeah.
Which invites a quick and potentially dishonest yes.
Right.
They suggest trying a presuppositional question like, I'm guessing you might be running a bit behind schedule.
It's like you're giving them permission to admit to the delay without feeling like they're letting you down.
Exactly.
And that can be a game changer in a tense situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, while presuppositional questions are great for a specific situation,
Okay.
there's another type of question that's universally powerful, the follow-up.
I have a feeling this goes beyond the polite, how are you follow-up after someone says, I'm fine.
Haha, right.
Tell me more about the magic of follow-ups.
You're right.
Yeah.
We're talking about follow-ups that demonstrate you're not just passively listening, but actively engaging with what the other person is saying.
Okay.
It's the difference between someone feeling heard and feeling interrogated.
So what sets a good follow-up apart from a question that feels like an interrogation?
It's all about building on what's already been said.
Okay.
Imagine someone mentions they grew up in a small town, a topic-switching question, like, do you like pizza? would feel jarring and disconnected.
Yeah.
A good follow-up, however, digs deeper into what they've already shared.
Something like, what was it like growing up in a small town?
Exactly.
That feels so much more natural and engaging.
And it shows you're not just waiting for your turn to speak,
Yeah.
but genuinely curious about their experience.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, research shows that follow-up questions are the real drivers of those positive effects we talked about earlier, increased liking, better information exchange, and even stronger persuasion.
It's like you're weaving a tapestry of understanding thread by thread with each follow-up question.
That's a great analogy.
Thank you.
You're building a richer, more nuanced picture of the person and their perspective.
So we've covered situations that are clearly cooperative, and others that are more competitive, but let's be real, most interactions fall somewhere in between.
Right.
How do we navigate those murky waters?
You're talking about mixed motive situations where the dynamics are constantly shifting. You might be collaborating with someone on a project one day and having to give them tough feedback the next. It can get complicated.
I'm already feeling anxious just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Do those situations require a completely different approach to asking questions?
The good news is that asking questions is generally a safe bet.
Okay.
Even in mixed motive situations, we tend to overthink things.
Yeah.
But the research suggests people are generally receptive to questions, even when there's a bit of tension or uncertainty.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners who might be hesitant to ask questions in those less clear-cut relationships? Where do we even begin?
Start by acknowledging the complexity of the situation.
Yeah.
You can even voice it out loud, like,
Okay.
this is a tricky situation, and I want to make sure we're both on the same page.
Okay.
That simple statement sets the stage for an honest and open conversation.
It's like taking a deep breath together before diving into the deep end.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So once we've acknowledged the elephant in the room, what's next?
Focus on understanding their perspective.
Okay.
Instead of jumping into a list of your concerns, start by asking open-ended questions like, how do you see this situation? Or what are your priorities right now?
Gotcha.
This shows you're genuinely interested in their viewpoint, which can go a long way in building trust.
It's like diffusing a potential conflict before it even starts by creating a space for empathy and mutual understanding.
Exactly.
I like that approach a lot. But what about those times when we're on the receiving end of the questions, especially those tough ones that catch us off guard?
Yeah.
How do we handle those moments when we're in the hot seat?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
We've talked about the power of asking questions, but it's equally important to know how to handle those moments when we're the ones being questioned.
Right.
And the good news is there are strategies we can develop to navigate those situations with grace and confidence.
So we've mastered the art of offense. Now it's time to build our defense.
Exactly.
I'm all ears. What's the first line of defense when facing those anxiety-inducing questions?
Preparation.
Okay.
Think of it like a mental shield, ready to deflect any unexpected blows. Take some time to reflect on the questions that typically make you sweat.
Okay.
What are those topics you tend to avoid or the areas where you feel most vulnerable?
It's like identifying your weak spots and fortifying them before battle.
Yeah.
I can already see how this would help me feel more confident going into any situation.
Right.
But knowing your weaknesses is just the first step, right?
Right.
What do we do with those potentially tricky questions once we've identified them?
Practice, practice, practice.
Okay.
Once you know the questions that keep you up at night, practice your answers. Write them down, rehearse them in front of the mirror.
Gotcha.
Even role play with a friend.
Okay.
The more you practice, the less intimidating those questions become.
But what about those curveballs? The questions we genuinely don't have an answer to.
Yeah.
Or those we'd rather not answer directly.
That's where the art of deflection comes in.
Okay.
And you might be surprised to learn that questions themselves can be your most powerful deflection tool.
Wait, so we can use questions to answer questions?
Yes.
How does that work?
It's all about strategically redirecting the conversation.
Okay.
One classic technique is simply asking, why do you ask? This seemingly simple question can buy you precious time to collect your thoughts, understand the questioner's motivations, and even shift the focus away from you momentarily.
It's like hitting the pause button on the conversation, giving you a chance to regroup and strategize your next move.
Right.
What other deflection tactics can we add to our arsenal?
Another effective strategy is turning the question back on the asker.
Okay.
For example, if someone asks you a question you're not prepared to answer, you could say, that's an interesting question. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay.
This encourages a more collaborative discussion and takes some of the pressure off you to provide a definitive answer.
It's like turning the spotlight around, encouraging the other person to share their perspective first.
Right.
That's a great way to create a more balanced and less intimidating conversation.
Exactly.
But what about those times when a touch of humor might be the best defense? Can a well-placed joke defuse a tense situation?
Absolutely. Humor can be a brilliant deflection tactic, but it's crucial to use it wisely. A lighthearted joke can ease tension, create a moment of connection, and make you appear more approachable. But it's all about reading the room.
Right.
If a question is asked with genuine curiosity, a bit of humor can work wonders. However, if the situation is serious or sensitive, a joke might come across as dismissive or disrespectful.
So it's about using humor strategically, not as a way to avoid answering altogether.
Right.
But what about those times when honesty is truly the best policy?
Yeah.
Is it ever okay to simply admit you don't know the answer?
Absolutely. Sometimes admitting you don't know is the most disarming and effective approach.
Really?
Yeah. It can actually enhance your credibility by making you appear more authentic and human. Instead of trying to fake your way through an answer you're not sure of, acknowledge you don't have all the information at hand, and express a willingness to learn more.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, it's okay to not know, but it's not okay to not want to know. So instead of trying to BS our way through, we can say something like...
Exactly. You can say, that's a great question, and I honestly don't have the answer right now, but I'd be happy to look into it and get back to you.
Okay.
This shows you take the question seriously and are willing to make an effort to find the information, demonstrating a growth mindset, which is always a positive attribute.
We've covered a lot of ground here, from the surprising power of asking questions to the art of handling those tough questions thrown our way. And it seems like there's one fundamental element that underpins it all. Yeah. Whether we're asking or answering.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
No matter how skillfully we craft our questions or how eloquently we deflect those curveballs, it all boils down to one crucial skill.
And that is...
active listening.
It's like that saying, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Exactly.
But active listening goes beyond just hearing the words, right?
Absolutely. It's about truly tuning in to the nuances of what's being said, the motivations behind the questions, and even the unspoken messages they might contain. It's about paying attention to not just the words, but also the tone of voice, the body language, the subtle shifts in energy.
It's like tuning into a radio frequency. You need to be on the right channel to receive the message clearly.
Yeah.
But how do we become better active listeners?
Right.
Is it something we can actually practice and improve? It feels like active listening is one of those things we all know we should be doing.
Right.
But it's easier said than done, especially in our fast-paced, always-on world.
It definitely takes effort.
Yeah.
But like any skill, it can be cultivated with practice.
Okay, so how...
One simple yet powerful technique is to simply pause before responding.
Okay.
We often jump in with our own thoughts before fully processing what the other person has said. That pause, even just for a few seconds, can make a world of difference.
It's like hitting the reset button on our brains, giving us a chance to truly absorb what we've just heard before formulating a response.
Right.
And I bet it helps avoid those misunderstandings that happen when we're only half listening.
Exactly. And another tip, try to resist the urge to interrupt. Even if you think you know what the other person is going to say, let them finish their thought completely. It shows respect and allows you to hear their full perspective, which might surprise you.
I'm definitely guilty of interrupting sometimes, especially when I'm excited about a topic.
Sure.
But you're right. It's important to give the other person the space to fully express themselves.
Yeah.
It's about creating a dialogue, not a competition, to see who can get their point across first.
That's a great way to put it.
Thank you.
And remember, active listening isn't just about the words being spoken.
Right.
Pay attention to nonverbal cues, like body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions.
Okay.
These subtle signals can reveal a lot about what the other person is really thinking and feeling.
It's like becoming a detective, piecing together clues to understand the full story behind the words.
Right.
I'm starting to see how mastering active listening can unlock a whole new level of understanding in our interactions.
It absolutely can. And the beauty of it is that the more you practice active listening, the more naturally you'll start asking insightful questions.
Oh.
The two skills go hand in hand.
It's like a virtuous cycle. The better you listen, the better you ask.
Exactly.
The better you ask, the more you learn, and the more you learn, well, you get the idea. It's a journey of continuous growth and discovery.
And it all starts with that simple act of being present, of truly tuning in to the person in front of you.
We've covered so much ground today, from the surprising power of questions to the art of handling those tough questions thrown our way.
Yeah, we have.
And we've learned that active listening is the foundation upon which all effective communication is built.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reminder that even though we're focusing on questions,
Right.
it's that two-way street of communication that truly makes the magic happen.
Exactly. It's about creating a space where both people feel heard, respected, and understood.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a challenge.
Okay.
Something to ponder as they go about their day. Think back to those conversations that really stayed with you.
Yeah.
Ones that sparked a new idea or shifted your perspective in some way.
What role did questions play in those interactions? Were you the one asking, or were you on the receiving end of a thought-provoking question?
And more importantly, what's one question you can ask today that has the potential to deepen a relationship, ignite a new idea, or simply make you see the world in a slightly different light?
It could be a question you ask yourself, a question you pose to a friend, a colleague, or even a question you throw out into the universe.
The key is to embrace the power of questions and see where they lead you. After all, as we've learned today, every question is a seed that has the potential to grow into something amazing.
So keep asking, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a well-crafted question.
And that concludes our deep dive into the world of questions. We've uncovered a superpower we all possess, a tool that can transform our relationships, unlock hidden potential, and shape the way we experience the world around us. Until next time, keep those questions coming.